What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to analyze the tape of tackle Patrick Paul and really get into what this guy showed yesterday for the Miami Dolphins. Paul had a really good game, in my opinion. Now, he did have some struggling snaps. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. There were some pass blocking issues that I saw, but generally speaking, the guy was really good. For a guy coming into his very first action in the NFL, there are a lot of really nice snaps, especially in the run game. And we're going to go ahead and start right there in the run game because I think that's where Paul is going to make a lot of money, especially with the Miami Dolphins having arguably the best run game in the NFL. Paul, to me, was a phenomenal football player. And in terms of developing, you give Paul 1 or 2 years to really develop. I think this is a guy that could be a top tier tackle in the NFL. You got so many good plays like this one here. 2nd and 8. Paul's going to do a really nice job making contact with the guard. He makes sure that the guard has enough help. He climbs up to the second level. He gets his hands on this linebacker, and then look at him make sure that the running back has a lane. Look at how he makes contact here with the linebacker and just continues to work the feet, continues to flip the hips, and really just sticks to the block, stays attached to the linebacker. And this play right here picked up 9 yards on 2nd and 8. But Paul had a couple of other really nice runs as well, including this next run here. This one's going to pick up 10 yards, just a really good job being able to make contact. And as the defensive lineman tries to look to the inside, you see Paul ends up flipping the hips. When I look at a young offensive lineman in the NFL, understand the blocking angles that he needs to take. When I look at these guys get out of their stance, the steps, the helmet, everything lands on the proper side as he makes contact with the defensive lineman. The lineman here is trying to fight through the block. He's trying to hold his ground. The guard does push this defensive lineman outwards, but Paul does a great job sticking with it. And as the defensive lineman tries to get it to the inside, once again, he flips the hips and he seals off the defensive lineman. And right here is able to hit the gap. And just like that, you're going to pick up 10 yards because of the fact that this rookie offensive tackle is able to do a really nice job. Now, those last 2 plays were zone runs where it was to Patrick Paul's side. There's a zone run that's going to actually be to the opposite side. And you're going to see the left tackle do a really good job being able to get to the inside of the linebacker. Now, the running back does drop the ball and the play ends up not picking up any yards. But just looking at Paul, he does a really good job with the angle he takes. He does a really nice job making sure that he gets to the inside of this guy. If you guys watch this play here, Paul does a phenomenal job getting out of his stance. And had the running back actually held on to the football, had that exchange been properly done, I mean, you see the gap developing. The running back would have potentially had the ability to hit it right off the center there. If not, he could have potentially bended it to the left side of number 64. And that would have been because of Paul's block here. Now, there is one guy that kind of goes unblocked at the backside of this. And he's coming down really hard, so he may have made the play anyways. But Paul does a great job setting himself up to the inside of the linebacker. This is not as easy as it looks, especially for a guy as big as Paul. But on the backside of run plays, the guy does a phenomenal job, specifically in zone runs, and that's where Paul's going to make his money in the NFL. You got another really nice snap by Paul in the run game. You're going to pick up 9 yards. Paul's going to do a really good job finishing the block on this one. The guy that he's going up against here is a guy that I think is going to break out this year. That's Arnold Ebiketie, who was a 2nd-round pick of the Atlanta Falcons just a couple years back. And Paul does a great job staying physical with this guy. He's going to not only make contact with Ebiketie, but as he makes contact with him, look at him drive the feet. Look at him stay attached to Ebiketie. And I love that right there. I love the finish. I love the effort. That's an impressive-ass play if you guys ask me. Absolutely love that right there. Let's go ahead and get to the next snap. Now, Patrick Paul had a really good day in the run game, but I do want to just show you guys a couple of losing snaps he had against the run. Specifically, once again, he's going to be going up against Arnold Ebiketie on this one, and the defensive end just sort of beats him. Now, the defensive end doesn't make the play. You'll actually end up seeing that a couple of their guys are going to be in the backfield as well. Pretty much both of these defensive tackles are going to end up being in the backfield. If you guys watch them, they basically both end up kind of getting back there. So the guys would have made the play anyways, but you also see that Ebiketie still ends up beating the left tackle. So not that this is an issue. There's nothing on tape that I see with Patrick Paul that tells me that he can't handle speed. He can't handle guys that are going to be moving faster. But this is one of the things to note, that if this guy's going to start this year for the Dolphins, which I don't think that's going to happen, but if he were to start for the Dolphins, if he were to play for the Dolphins at any point over the course of this season, this will be the one aspect of his game that he'll have to develop. He'll have to get quicker for guys in the NFL that are fast and twitchy, which is the profile that Ebiketie fits, right? So you see Ebiketie do a really nice job, just sort of jump to the inside. He's also going to give a little mini rip move to Paul. Not a big deal. not an issue at all, but I did want to point it out because I don't want you guys to think that I'm not looking at Patrick Paul's negative snaps. Because on this channel, one of the things we do is we do look at traits and we do look at weaknesses, right? We look at things where guys are struggling, what they have to develop, how they can ultimately get better. Here's another one where the defensive tackle is going to do a great job getting to the inside of Patrick Paul. He has to do a little bit of a better job on this one as well. Again, not a concern at all. These are things where you develop, right? When you understand what veterans, guys that have spent multiple years in the NFL want to do, these are the little things that you have to just kind of learn, kind of develop. And this will be one of those moments. The D tackle here ends up getting right into his chest, stands him up, and then he ends up getting off the block. Now you do see that this play ends up picking up a lot of yards, so it doesn't really matter. The containment on the backside was obviously lost, but we don't really care about outcomes of plays. We care about the individual blocking, right? So Patrick Paul in Pass Pro took a total of 36 snaps, and 5 of those were screen plays. There were a lot of plays because of the fact that the Falcons run a 3-4 defense where the guy lined up on Paul would drop back in coverage. So essentially you got a 2-on-1 situation like this. But again, Paul did a really, really good job, even in true 1-on-1 situations. Now on this one here, he does a really, really good job making contact with his defensive end. Really nice job as soon as he makes contact to keep the grip strength and really shut this one down. He is in a 3-point stance, so that is going to make it a little bit harder as he gets out of his stance. But again, just a phenomenal job as he makes contact. You see those long, lengthy arms get attached to the defensive lineman. The left hand lands into the chest plate, and you see the defensive end try to snatch the arm down. You see the defensive end try to chop it and break that contact, and you see it does not work. That's a really, really good job with Paul. Being able to not only make contact, but the fact that he's able to move the feet, stay attached, mirror the defensive end, and just straight up shut it down. That's a really, really good rep. Let's go ahead and get to the next snap. You got another really nice snap here by Paul. He's going to do a great job being able to recover within this rep. You're going to see him just straight up catch this defensive end, and he's going to shut it down. 43 yards on 3rd and 5. Absolutely love what Paul does on this play. So Paul's going to get out of his stance. He's going to end up getting into his 45-degree set, and the defensive end is going to go from outside back to the inside. That's a really, really nice move right there by the defensive lineman. You see him fake to the outside, come back to the inside, and Paul gets off balance a little bit with his footwork. The left foot here is going to end up going back right there, and you're going to see the defensive end jump to the inside, and Paul catches it with the right hand. It's a great job right there with the right hand to be able to catch it. The left arm comes and locks in as well, and he ends up holding it where the quarterback is able to get the ball out. You're going to get a play action bootleg to the right. The offensive linemen are all going to jump set. Paul does a great job once again locking in. Once again, the same defensive end in Arnold Ebiketie. Great job as he makes contact with this guy. You see him make contact, get physical, stick to the block, really hold his own. And the play is away, so it doesn't really matter. But again, a lot of really, really different things that the Dolphins are doing with the offensive linemen. And I think it's really going to allow Patrick Paul to continue to develop. You got another really nice rep once again. He's going to catch the defensive end. The defensive end is going to try an inside move, and he catches him with the right hand. Just a really, really nice job once again. This is Arnold Ebiketie, again, guy that I really, really like. And you see Patrick Paul just straight up do a great job catching him. Now, the guard is there to obviously help him. I'm not sure if he would have generated pressure on this one. It does look like the left tackle gets that right hand in there, and it does look like he would have probably slowed him down enough. But I do like the fact that the guy moves really well for as big as he is. Yes, he still has to develop. He still has to get stronger. He has to get better with the technique. But there's a lot of really good things to like with this guy. Arnold Ebiketie is not a bad football player. So the fact that he's able to have a lot of good reps against that caliber of player, to me, is promising. So really nice job right there by the left tackle. Let's go ahead and get to the next snap. Now, as I stated earlier in the video, it was not perfect. I think in Pass Pro, Patrick Paul does have to still get better. Now, before we move forward, I want to just take a second to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this channel. That is Underdog Sports. And if you're not signed up with Underdog yet, what are you waiting for? Underdog is the best fantasy football platform out there, and their pick'em game allows you to win some extra cash. For me personally, I'm always thinking about matchups when it comes to Underdog. It could be something like the Cowboys quarterback's going to throw for over 20 passes. The Patriots are going to end up having at least 1 interception. Or maybe it's a Bears wide receiver can go for over 75 yards. Essentially, you make 3 picks if you get all of them correct. And depending on the multiplier, you can turn $5 or $10 into $100 or $400. A lot of my videos are demonetized, so I would appreciate it if you guys can support Underdog for supporting this channel and allowing us to continue to do film content on this channel. There's a link down in the comments below, so make sure you guys check that out and support this channel. Now let's just get right back into this video. Now, as I stated earlier in the video, it was not perfect. I think in pass pro, Patrick Paul does have to still get better. I think although there were good reps, they were bad reps as well. And there's just little things, right? They're not things that lead to him losing, but they're things that could lead to losing. And here's an example of that. So Paul on this one is going to try to double hand punch the defensive tackle, and the tackle's going to just straight up swipe the arms. Now you may have missed it, but look at Paul as he gets swiped here, and look at how he ends up leaning forward. And if the guard was not there, to me on this one here, Paul loses the snap. Like we saw a play just a little while ago where Paul ends up stepping down and helping the guard because Paul's guy ends up dropping off, and then the guard ends up kicking over here and helping the center. So in this instance, if that were to happen, where the guard goes and helps that center, Paul loses this snap because he gets swatted, right? His hands get swatted right there. Again, not a big deal, right? These are reps where you're going to learn and you're going to get better. There were small things like this that I saw on tape. Another thing that I saw from Paul on tape came on this defensive line game. The D end's going to slant hard into number 64. The D tackle's going to slant around. Not a bad job, but if you want to process these games better and help your guard be in a better spot, you got to do a better job here. So if you guys keep an eye on the left guard does not see this coming. Plus, the DN gets a free shot at the left guard. You see the defensive end, helmet, arms, everything land right to the chest of that guard. The guard does not see it coming. And it is up to the tackle or the guy who's initially going first, right? So in this one here, the DN's going first. It is up to the left tackle to get the hands on this defensive end. And it is up to him to slow down the defensive end so that your guard does not take a shot like this. Again, not a big deal, right? But these are little things that he'll have to continue to improve on. These are little things you have to continue to work on. You got to get the hands on this guy and make sure that you pass him off cleanly in a way where the guy doesn't get a full running head start right into the guard, because that puts the guard at a bad spot. It puts him in a spot where he's not going to have leverage. And in this instance, the center ends up helping, so it doesn't really translate into a sack. But if you keep an eye on the guard gets lifted up. The guard is way out leveraged on this one. So again, just something small to kind of keep an eye on. Again, not a big deal. But I do like watching guys in their rookie years and really just talk about things that they struggle with, things they can get better at, as well as point out the things they do a good job at. And to me, that's how you have to watch tape, right? And I don't say any of what I'm saying because I don't like Patrick Paul. I'll be honest with you guys. I love Patrick Paul. I think he has so much upside. I think his potential's through the roof. He's one of those guys that I think just fits perfectly with the Dolphins. But it's little things that he'll have to clean up. He gets his hands on the defensive lineman here. The defensive lineman has the hands to the inside. Now, having your arms to the outside is okay, but only if you're not going to be pushed the way Patrick Paul essentially is here. You can see the defensive lineman stands up Paul. Paul's trying to lean into it a little bit. The defensive lineman's going to end up moving, ripping, and you see he gets pressure on the quarterback. And this pass here is going to be incomplete. Again, not a huge deal, right? It's just little things that we'll have to continue to clean up, and I'm positive he will clean these things up. It is not the end of the world that Patrick Paul, who played, keep in mind, over 60 snaps in his very first NFL action, and that too against guys that are pretty good football players. He had maybe like 7-8 losing snaps. Like, it's not surprising to see that. Here's another one where the defensive end's going to end up getting to the quarterback. And this one's not a terrible job because he does get the hands on the defensive end. But this is one of those things where I have to just continue to develop, specifically the footwork. The footwork on this one is off because the defensive end's going to initially go to the inside, and Paul catches him. He shuts it down. The right hand lands perfectly to the inside chest, and that's an initial win right there for Paul. But the footwork is not there right now, and the defensive end goes to a second move, and Paul's off balance. And the defensive end gets the quarterback in this instance, and you'll see the defensive end ends up throwing the quarterback at the end of this. I mean, that's a penalty. I'm not sure if it actually got called, but that should be a penalty right there. By my count, he had about 8 losing snaps between the run and pass game. I think there were about 2 or 3 in the run game, and the other 5 or 6 came in pass pro. But overall, I feel like Patrick Paul had a really good day. And I'm not sure if he's going to start this year. I probably don't think he will. Honestly, I think the Dolphins have 2 good tackles that can start. Plus, I'm not 100% sure if you want a rookie starting with the Dolphins who have Super Bowl aspirations. But the tape does not lie with Patrick Paul. I think the guy looked really, really impressive. And I think the best thing that the Miami Dolphins can do is just let Patrick Paul play every single snap in preseason that he can ultimately get. 50, 60, 70 snaps per game, especially considering that he's probably not going to play in the regular season if both tackles are healthy. Now, I don't think Patrick Paul is going to start. But, don't ever think that I know exactly what's happening with every team in the NFL. But I will say that I think there's a lot of upside with Paul. And I'll even go ahead and say that he actually looks better than what I thought he would look coming into the actual NFL draft process, coming into his rookie year. I thought Paul would have been an entire year away from being where he's at today already. So that's a huge sign if you guys ask me. And I'm excited to see where this guy continues to develop. If he does play in the rest of the preseason games, we will definitely continue to check in. He's a guy we're going to keep an eye on during the regular season. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing. We will be having a lot more Dolphins content as we go forward. If this is the first time you're on this channel, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time with another video.